Good morning, Blue Jays fans, and welcome to another edition of Jays Latest. I am your host, Craig Borden, and we're going to talk all things Toronto Blue Jays this morning. So, as it goes, we're going to talk good news first because last night or yesterday afternoon, wow, what a ding. so, but on the bright side of things, this Wednesday, the Blue Jays finally are going to be getting back one of their best pitchers that they paid for this offseason to the tune of like $15-12 million. So we're going to get Max Scherzer will be rejoining the team officially. It has been announced that he will be the game two starter in Cleveland. So Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, he is going to be playing with the Toronto Blue Jays, and hopefully we'll get to see what he did in his second start in Buffalo because he looked great when he was pitching against the Boston Red Sox youngsters in Woodchester for the Woo Sox while he was playing with the Buffalo Bisons during his two rehab starts. 8 strikeouts, looked really good. Things were moving. It's going to be very interesting. The Blue Jays should be very excited for the fact that they're going to have Max Scherzer finally back in this uniform because we need somebody to be able to run with some pitching and get some good innings, especially with the injury to Bowden Francis. Obviously, Max being part of the original projected rotation, we've had a spot filler going on for a long time. I do want to give credit where credit is due, though. Ethan Lawler, who is pitching tonight, or sorry, Tuesday evening, is looking great. I really cannot say enough good things. Whatever he figured out after last season and playing that little extra in Korea last year, he has figured something out. It's very telling. And I do want to say, just let him keep running until the wheels fall. If we happen to trade for another out or another arm, that's great. But the end of this show, we're going to focus on where I think the Blue Jays need to start dumping some money and finding some ways to trade for some extra talent. So let's get into yesterday because this was a tight game against a team that is currently 25-53 people. I was frustrated the other day when we lost game one and we bounced back in game two and won 7-1. Game three, though, we lose 4-2. So we lost the series against one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. Um, Call it what you will. They underestimated them. Maybe the White Sox had a good weekend. Whatever it is, I don't really care. This cannot happen for a playoff capable team. You've got to beat up on the teams that you're able to beat up on, and this was not helping the Blue Jays record in any means. It's amazing they're still, you know, this was later in the season. This could have been one of those things that became very telling. But when everything comes down to the dog days of August and then running into September to try and get into a playoff spot, you could be very well looking back at this series and going, wow, we lost it by 2 games. Blue Jays fans remember how much it sucked being literally one game out of the playoffs just a few years ago. These are the kind of things that cause that. So you got to beat up on the teams you can beat up. That's simple. And if you play Cito Gaston ball, you win series, you make the playoffs. And they had been doing a good job at that. This is still they're still 5-7 in their last seven, or sorry, 5-2 in their last 7 series. So they're still doing very good. But this one just feels like one that got away, and it very well got away yesterday in the eighth inning. Um, Blue Jays were ahead at the time 2-1 for plenty of good reasons and playing some really solid baseball, moving the guys around the pillows, and it had just been capped off with an Alan Roden triple to take the lead. And Roden gets brought in by Bo Bichette, and who ended up being both RBIs last night. Went 2 for 5, Bo Bichette. As the rest of the top of the order went over 6 with Barger and Vladdy, but Vladdy did take 2 walks and only went over 2. But it was nice to see Barger back because we were worried he was hurt. Just flash into this inning, and it just was like slowly bled out of us. It just did not feel good one way or the other watching all the walks by Brandon Little. Then Jeff Hoffman comes in and walks first guy. Now the bases are loaded, and Andrew Benintendi does what Andrew Benintendi does and reached on an error, ties the ball game up. The error was pitcher's fielding practice level. Hoffman got crossed up trying to get the ball to Vladdy at first base, but he tried to do the shuffle pass thing before he even had the ball in his glove. They could not recover from it. Those run scores, tie ball game. Problem is, bases are still loaded. They only needed one out. That was the thing that kills me, and that's what you're paying Jeff Hoffman for. And Michael Vargas ends up doubling down the line, scores two more runs. They get out of the inning finally, but it's now 4-2 White Sox. It just doesn't feel like they earned that win. We gave it to them, and that's the problem here. And yes, that's where I wanted to go next. Um, is Hoffman the leverage guy we really need at the end of this bullpen? I have more questions about it than I do anything. I know this bullpen is currently missing the other high leverage arm that we're paying in Jimmy Garcia, but he is also very close to coming back. So we'll see that in the very near future. Um, and we'll go from there. But at the end of the day, that's probably enough. But the Blue Jays, I feel, need something. Is Jeff Hoffman really the closer? Is the question, or is there some way to make up the aggregate, like I said, with a Jimmy Garcia? The Blue Jays do need to get something, and I think this is the easiest way to improve the team because you can't just watch leads like this in tight ball games to crummy teams. Sorry, White Sox. Come back and win these games. It just does not help us in any fashion trying to stay in a pennant race and whatnot. I know it's quote unquote only the first half of the season, but these are the ones that come back to haunt you and bite you in the butt later in the season. So go get me Kyle Finnegan. Go get me Jake Bird. Give me somebody that's going to, lengthen this bullpen out. And I still just don't think that Nick Sandlin and all these, some of these guys are the full high leverage piece to that. And even Brandon Little has been struggling a little bit lately, it seems like, with his control, or he's just trying to push those curveballs just a little further outside the zone. So trying to get guys to dance. Don't think, just throw meat. Classic line from Bull Durham. So, anyways, next on the Blue Jays agenda is we get to head to Cleveland to hopefully rock things back in the right direction. The Cleveland Indians have been having a rough go and are actually barely above 500 in second place in the AL Central right now at 39-37 record. So the Blue Jays, this is a different team than we saw a few weeks ago when they were up in the Rogers Center. So hopefully that is something the Blue Jays can take advantage of because they have been hurting. So hopefully we get a rocking and we get to enjoy it in Cleveland. We're going to start the series off with Eric Lawler versus Logan Allen. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But that is the current matchup, and then as I mentioned, Max on Wednesday. Blue Jays fans, make sure you tune in here live every day. We're going to do our best to get you all the trade rumors and everything, and we're going to talk all Blue Jays baseball daily here on Jays Latest. And we'll talk to you soon. Cheers. Go Blue Jays.